What's up? I did not expect to see you there. I know you expect me here, but I'm actually filming this on a non-filming day. I'm supposed to be working on something else that's very tedious. So low-key, I am procrastinating by filming this video, but I don't know. I just have some stuff I wanted to get off my chest, and it's one of those unpopular opinion kind of rants where I know that if I try to plan this out and I just type it all out and try to make it right, it's not gonna come out right. It's something that I don't know if I even want to talk to YouTube about, but I know that I want to talk to a friend about it. And the only friend that I could really talk to about this is someone who actually gets it. And the only people who actually get this is people who have been in my shoes, and that's you guys here on YouTube. So I hope that you understand that my heart is good when I'm saying this, and I'm feeling really vulnerable posting this, but it truly is coming from the heart. The thing that I'm working on right now is a brain task. I am taking a little break from it by talking to you, but how crazy is it that I'm taking a brain task break by talking? Guys, I'm doing so much better after this targeted fibrin patch for my CSF Venus fistulas. And that is really exciting. And I don't want you guys to take this video as a lack of gratitude. And I think that's why I'm so nervous to even film it, let alone post it, because obviously gratitude is the overwhelming emotion that I'm feeling, that I'm getting better. But behind that, 98% of me that's nothing but gratitude and sunshine and rainbows, there's a little piece of me that's having a very hard time adjusting back to having a normal functioning brain again. I'm not even totally back to normal, but I'm functioning so much better that I'm doing tasks and reading things and looking at things that are much more complicated than anything I would have even imagined in the last 6 years, other than maybe during that 48-hour flat test, or maybe right after that previous patch, or maybe while I was flying high on Diamox. I did have some good times there. But it's been very hard waking up from this 6 or 7 year haze. I have so many thoughts spinning in my mind that I want to tell you at the same time that I don't even know where to start. But let me tell you one thing that I ran into today while I was getting ready for this brain task. I've worked on a lot of projects here for Momming with Migraine. Projects that you've seen and projects that you haven't. And some of the projects that I have on the back burner are things like my courses that are like halfway finished and totally written by like hazy migraine Jen, and the content is there, but the ability to articulate the idea is not there. And now I'm looking at it with fresh eyes as not migraine Jen, and I'm like, wow. On the one hand, yes, this was meant to be the rough draft, the brain dump, the bulleted list, the completely not polished, this is just, I'm typing things out as they're coming to my brain. But you still kind of expect that to make a little bit of logical sense. You still kind of expect normal grammatical things. You kind of expect some sort of flow. But it's crazy just seeing how different migraine Jen's brain really does work. High pressure Jen's brain is totally different. Low pressure Jen's brain is really different. And then coming out of that haze and being like, wow, I've been those personalities for this many years, and how weird was I? How weird was I in person if this is how weirdly I was writing? And then another really weird thing happened. My kids ask for particular snacks, right? It's what toddlers do. So my kids will ask for a snack and I'll be like, yeah, I'll totally get that for you. And then I forget. And then they ask again, and then sometimes I forget again. And now that I'm remembering things a little bit more, I'm starting to remember that I had forgotten. And it has me thinking, how much have I actually forgotten? I know of some pretty significant things that I have forgotten that I've run into. Like, this is a hilarious story that I've only ever shared on Instagram stories before. The reason why Migraine Jen is not allowed to order things online anymore is because I had migraines on 3 consecutive nights, and it was the week that I had run out of seaweed. At the time, I was on a seaweed snack kick. So each night I would have one of those little packs of seaweed snacks. So each night that I had a migraine, I realized that I didn't have any seaweed snacks at home. So I would place an order, a bulk order, for seaweed snacks. One night, I received the seaweed snacks that I had ordered. The next night, I received a second bulk order of seaweed. The third night, I received a third bulk order of seaweed. You heard that right. Literally, 3 nights in a row, I ordered seaweed for 2-day delivery. So 3 nights in a row, I was receiving bulk orders of seaweed. I suddenly had $200 worth of seaweed, and yes, most of it did expire before I could get through it, because who actually eats that much seaweed? And now Migraine Jen is not allowed to make online orders anymore. But if I was forgetting things like that, I had already bulk ordered seaweed 3 nights in a row. What other things am I forgetting in my life? It's really, really hard right now running into things that I have forgotten and then suddenly I remember them. This stuff was not happening pre-targeted patch. I'm remembering things that I've forgotten, and I feel this guilt for letting people down. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I can't talk about it because it comes off as ungrateful for the progress that this truly is. But I can't help but be embarrassed and a little bit concerned about the things that have happened while I've been in this weird haze. And what's maybe a little bit weirder still about it to me is that I'm still having my migraine cycles. They're much less frequent, but I'm still having them. So I'm ending up having good times. I turn into Migraine Jen, but then I'm actually going back into these truly good times. And it's during those truly good times that I'm realizing how bad the Migraine Jen times are. You see, there's Migraine Jen and there's not Migraine Jen, but not Migraine Jen was also having leaky Jen or high pressure Jen. So when I didn't know what was going on with my brain pressure, it was so many migraines and so many pressure things happening all the time that I couldn't tell my symptoms from each other, like literally at all. But now, I'm actually truly coming out of it sometimes. I can definitely feel the effects on my body from the years and years of needing to deal with things just not being right, but my brain is waking up. So, point is, when I turn into Migraine Jen, it's now a little bit frustrating because sometimes things aren't that complicated anymore. And on the flip side, when I turn into not Migraine Jen, the true not Migraine Jen, where my face has color and my eyes are lit up and I don't stutter and nothing's confusing anymore, it's actually way harder on me to be in that mental state than I would like to admit at this point. I really thought that I would be celebrating having this mental clarity and just living it up and wanting to study stuff. And I am having that. I'm totally in scientific papers. I was learning about hormones today. Stress hormones, like the actual what molecule is binding to what stuff. It's crazy, the stuff that I suddenly start to look into when my brain turns on. But also when my brain turns on in those quiet moments, like when I'm breastfeeding the baby, I realize how many moments with them I've forgotten. And I realize with absolutely fresh eyes how absolutely dumb Migraine Jen is. I don't mean that in a mean way, but she's just very naive and not with it. And to know that I was there and I still go there so often is a lot to swallow. It's a lot to swallow for someone who's so intellectual and usually very smart. Things are usually not that complicated, especially freaking putting on your dang pants in the morning. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with being Migraine Jen and becoming that. But seeing it with not Migraine Jen eyes. Here's a way to put it where even my able-bodied friends here will understand. You know that feeling when you graduate from high school and you're finally an adult? You're like, yeah, I know everything. There's nothing else to learn. I'm so mature. I'm a grown-up now. But then you turn like 30 and you think, wow, 18, you're totally still a kid. But at 10, you basically think you're an adult because you're so much bigger than like a toddler. You're so much bigger than your 5-year-old sister. So you basically think you're an adult. It kind of feels like that. I feel like my journey with chronic illness has been this slow stepladder of coming out of a haze and slowly realizing how far down I really was in understanding things. And each step of my recovery has unlocked another step of maturity that has allowed me to understand the depth of confusion that I was in. There are certain things that are just not appropriate to expect out of a 2, 10, 18-year-old. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing for the different mental states that I've been able to achieve over the years. It's not that I was failing in any kind of way, or that I should feel like I should have done better. It's not like that. It's just that since I am doing better now, I have achieved and can process deeper layers of understanding of my own disease and condition. And I also have to admit, since we're here catharting, that this has been incredibly difficult to go through as a new mom. I know that even for people who do not go through disability or do not go through a changing disability during their postpartum period, motherhood is still incredibly difficult. But currently, one of the mental struggles that I'm going through is that the difficulty of motherhood is changing a lot based on my own cognitive abilities. Some days go a lot better because I'm mentally there. And some days I'm running a migraine cycle and I'm just not really there. So each day I wake up and it's roulette. We're back to the days where it's roulette. And as much as I'm thankful that it's not every single day is torture and every day I'm like just totally not here and just horrendous, the things that used to happen, I never want to go back to that. I will never stop being grateful that I'm not there. It's just a new type of tough to have hope sometimes that I'm gonna feel better, or to wake up in the morning and think it's kind of a decent day, and then I have to go through the letdown of it not being a decent day again. There's hope that I get now that I had stopped getting, that I'm glad I get, but now I also have to deal with the letdown of that hope. And the ripple effect of me having toddlers and not being able to pick them up is that the more I'm able to connect with them and communicate with them, the better of a day we all have. So when I'm having a symptomatic day and I have trouble wrangling them with my speech because I'm having trouble with speech for whatever reason, whether it be because cognitively things aren't making sense or because my mouth just isn't doing it that day, aphasia, then of course the toddlers are gonna act up more. That's going to exacerbate my symptoms more. It's just a lot more of a chaotic day. And then now I'm having these days where I wake up, I feel pretty good, I'm not in a migraine cycle, and then I'm able to connect really well with the girls. We communicate really well, we negotiate really well. We just have a really great time during the day, everything goes smoothly, and I'm like, wow, why can't all days be like this? And then I wake up feeling sick again, and I'm like, wow, that's why, it's not my fault. And then you get back into this bitter at the universe thing, and the why me's, and thank God I found God, and I don't get into those spirals anymore. But it doesn't mean I'm not dealing with those negative emotions, you know? In a lot of ways, this game of roulette is harder than just knowing that you're gonna lose when you wake up. There was a pattern that I had for Migraine Gen. There was an understanding of what I should accomplish in the day because I was consistent. I was relatively consistent. But now, some days I can accomplish so much. And then my Migraine Gen days, I tend to compare myself to my not Migraine Gen days. That's just not a good road to go down. So I know this is kind of a random video. I really just needed to talk to a friend. But it is really hard not being so disabled anymore. And I already often did not come off as disabled enough. You know, there's a lot of stereotype and stigma around that. So there's a lot to navigate when it comes to relationships with family and friends, and as things change and evolve, and as I keep going for patches and they either work or don't work or weren't supposed to work. It's just been a lot of communicating with people and processing things, and most of why I wanted to share this is so that you know that you're not alone if you're feeling these weird, troubling feelings. Let's go back for a minute to just talking about motherhood and becoming a mother. I think that when you become a mom and you have this baby, it's not just the changes that you go through as a person, it's also that you're spending so much time to yourself just thinking and processing things at a time when you're also going through all of those huge life transitions. I have 2 babies under 3 right now, and I think that a lot of women postpartum do think about their childhood and different moments that meant a lot that either in a positive or a negative way really shaped them as a person. I've gone through so much of that in the last few years, and it really has changed me to process those things. But now I've found that I'm doing it again with coming out of being Migraine Gen. Just like now I'm a mom looking back at and mourning for my inner child and wishing that I had the knowledge I have now so that I could comfort her back then. It's not a pity feeling, but I do really feel bad for little kid Jen, you know, like that kind of idea. That's how I'm now feeling toward Migraine Gen. I'm clearly not 100% with it right now. I'm actually turning into Migraine Gen. But when I'm not Migraine Gen, I sort of feel bad for Migraine Gen the way I feel bad for an inner child. It's like you're so doing your best, and you're so close, and your heart is so pure, and you're trying, and you're giving it everything you have, and you just don't have the resources right now. For Migraine Jen, it was literally not having the brain fluid for it. For a child, it's just that they haven't grown up yet. They don't have the emotional maturity and the experience to deal with whatever's being thrown at them. Not Migraine Jen, this new Not Migraine Jen, is realizing on a whole nother level that Migraine Jen, my little Hufflepuff, was just a child in her own way, just this sweet thing that was trying so hard and just didn't have the resources, didn't have the connection. And that hurts. My heart is so broken for Migraine Jen. I know that when I'm in that really confused state, I have a lot of emotions that I process for that time too. I know that Migraine Jen has spent a lot of time grieving being able to remember things. She has her own separate memory bank. I'm not a split personality, but I remember different things inside and outside of my migraine attacks. So for all intents and purposes, Migraine Jen is sort of her own person because Migraine Jen gets her own experiences and memories that I don't have. But what I do know, since I'm kind of bridged right now in between the two, is that what Migraine Jen has to process is not being able to do things the way normal Jen can. Can't drive, can't go places, can't remember things, can't have the same experiences with the babies. Obviously a lot of pain and other symptoms to go through, but Migraine Jen doesn't really realize how childlike she is in her ability to process complex emotions. Migraine Jen can't get that complex with emotions. And me, as a whole, to a certain extent, even I couldn't get to that complex of emotions. And metaphor now. It's sort of like turning 30 and looking back at 18. I thought I was an adult when I was on Diamox. I thought that I had come out of my haze and I was feeling pretty good. But now we're on a different level. Being on Diamox was like turning 18. Everybody says I'm an adult and now I'm an adult. A lot of things do become more clear when you go to college and you experience all of those things. But it's not like having another 10 years in the adult world. I cannot wait to see what happens in the next 10 and 20 years, the stuff I learn about life and how mature I get to become. But for now, I have to stop getting myself on these tangents, get back to our metaphor. Diamox Jen was like an 18-year-old. Definitely solid compared to a 10-year-old or a 2-year-old, or I would call Migraine Jen maybe like 4. Or a golden retriever. I feel like post-fibrin patch, I went another 10 years and became 30 and a mother. Some of that might be that I actually truly did mature in my own heart through finding faith, finding community, and just really growing into motherhood over the last few years. But the flip that switched the second I got that patch, it's like, this is freaking mind-blowing. And my heart is broken for the versions of me that didn't have this kind of clarity. The versions of me that couldn't access these levels of emotion and this level of clarity. That's hard. I'm sad for her like I'd be sad for one of my kids if they became disabled. I cannot believe how disabled I was. I'm thrilled that I was able to find so much joy, meaning, value, and even purpose through the disability. But it doesn't mean that I can't be sad that I went through that. And it's really weird because getting better, I thought it was just gonna be happy. I really thought that if I got patched, I would just be so thrilled that I got patched and that I'm feeling better and stuff, but I wasn't anticipating that reaching new levels of understanding mentally would mean that the emotions are just complex on another level. Not in a way that I can't handle, but just in a way that I'm like understanding things and realizing things that I didn't even know were in there. But anyway, that's it from me today. Keep fighting, stay strong. Don't be afraid to feel your feelings. This is me feeling and processing my emotions. I just need to put words to them, recognize them, and really put my finger on them. That's the best way that I can feel things and get over them. I don't know what you do to get over your feelings, but don't be afraid to get through them, whatever way it is that you need to get through them. Make sure that you process them though. It's not good for your health if you bottle them down. I really appreciate you guys being my shoulder to let this all out on, to vent on. I really needed a friend today, and I appreciate you being here. I'll see you in the next video.